and I would probably prefer them.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help. Not that I needed it, but it's good to have my sanctuary back.
Oh no! It's good to have my sanctuary back! That line makes me so happy. Like, that's the cutest, that's like the best line in the entire game to me. Like, this, even if I didn't like this game, which who doesn't like this game? This entire game would be justified just for that one line, because it's so great. Because if you remember, at the end of Sonic 3, Sky Sanctuary collapsed and was destroyed. And then, like, when they jumped onto the Death Egg, and then the one little platform of the Sky Sanctuary that was left when he fights Mecha Sonic, that also gets destroyed, so after Sonic 3, Sky Sanctuary just doesn't exist anymore, so Knuckles is up there on Angel Island being like, man, I liked having my Sky Sanctuary. I'm sad that my Sky Sanctuary is gone. I am Knuckles the Echidna. And then you get to this and it's like, yeah, I got my Sanctuary back! That's so fucking cool, right? That's adorable! Like me with my over-analysis of Sonic, the original games when I did those playthroughs. That's just something that's so adorable to me. And also adorable to me is, look, grape trees. You see these grape trees? Because Knuckles' favorite food is grapes. He loves him some grapes. So they put grapes on the trees in Sky Sanctuary, and if you're playing through the level, and if you slow down and take your time and actually look at the environment, you can see that there are actually a lot of fruits and grapes growing on the trees throughout the level, which I think is adorable. So here's why getting the red rings, which I still am not a big fan of doing, by the way, is more tolerable in Sonic Generations compared to Sonic Colors. And again, it's one of the big reasons why, in a lot of ways, in terms of gameplay, Sonic Generations is better than Sonic Colors, is if you talk to your buddies, they will tell you how to get the red rings. So any red rings that you don't have, they will have dialogue telling you where to go in the level in order to collect red rings you didn't get. So he's telling you, like, there's a rail that goes straight down, I bet you could ride on that, and that will take you to where a red ring is. There's a hidden passageway right at the beginning. Next to her little speech bubble, there was a red ring in the speech bubble, and she's telling you how to find the red ring. So if you're, like, grinding to try and find where all the red rings are, all you gotta do is talk to your buddies next to the level, and they'll tell you where to go to find a red ring. Which is way better, because in Sonic Colors, you had no fucking idea, and there was no, like, way to find out. You would literally just have to go online and look up a guide to have a video online or a map screen online tell you where to find all the red rings in the game. So here's where Omochao is, who, against all odds, like all of the other characters, has a new voice actor now. Even though he doesn't have any fucking dialogue in this game, thank God. But he's actually voiced by Laura Bailey now, which is pretty funny. Of all voice actors, he had to get Laura Bailey to do Omochao. Although, Laura Bailey also voices another character in this game. Just like the voice of Orbot, the red robot that Robotnik made in Sonic Colors, in Sonic Unleashed, actually. But he became Orbot in Sonic Colors, voiced by Kirk Thornton? Kirk Thornton also voices another character in the series now. And it's just funny to me because they got all new voice actors. They completely ousted the cast and got contracted new voice actors to get associated with all the different characters. And then Sonic Colors, it was just Sonic and Tails. So all of those other voice contracted characters didn't get like a chance to actually perform their role in that game. So then you get to this game, and all of the different Sonic characters are in this game, almost unanimously, and they all get time to be like, okay, we paid these goddamn voice actors, time to actually give them lines. So we gotta get these keys in order to do the boss fight. In order to get these keys, you gotta do these extra little challenge missions, which are just fun little bonus gameplay things, like race a ghost. You're basically just, it's basically just a time at, like, beat this time. Like, they're just remixes of the level with little mini-game attachments on top. Yeah, I don't not like, the reason I don't like Classic Sonic isn't because he doesn't play like he did in the Genesis. That's just a weird complaint to me. It's more based on aesthetics. For one thing, I don't like how when you just tap the X button, you just do a little limp, anemic, impotent spin dash forward like this. You have to hold it down in order to get some actual speed going. So when I'm trying to do it real fast, I will just, like, fucking stain my tidy whities trying to do it like that. And I don't like how... It's hard to describe without actually being able to show it as an example, but when you jump on a Badnik, it, like, the way you bounce off of the Badnik after jumping on it is kind of wonky. And again, it's hard to describe unless you actually have it in your hand. And I kind of don't like how, if you... I can't really zoom in, but when Classic Sonic jumps, his physical 3D model is just balling up into a little ball, which I think looks fucking weird. I guess that makes sense, but compared to modern Sonic, who, when he jumps, there's like a glowy blue energy around his body. I feel like Classic Sonic would have looked a lot better if he had something like that around him too. But I get why they didn't do that, because the little blue energy ball that appears around him when he jumps is something that modern Sonic only got in Sonic Adventure 2. In Sonic Adventure 2, that's when he first got the glowy ball of energy around his body when he jumped. And everything from the Genesis games up to Sonic Adventure, he would just curl up into a ball. But what Sonic Adventure did was it added a 2D sprite to alternate between the 3D model and the 2D sprite drawing of him being all curled up in a ball. So it looked a lot more natural, and it would alternate every frame, whereas just having the 3D model curled up like that looks weird to me. Anyway, we are not going to do all of these challenge stages. You have to do at least one to unlock the key here. But we are going to do all of the challenge stages that have friends associated with them, because we want to get as much screen time and voice acting time in with our cast as possible, because otherwise they do not get a lot of screen time, unfortunately. Oh, it's basically a race against Knuckles, only he's going across a different track than we are. I do think it's pretty cute. Although, there he is. But now his dig claw... It's actually pretty fun to, like, slow down and watch the way Knuckles navigates through this level alongside us. What up, buddy? He bounced into the Moto Bug. That's adorable. There we go. It is fun to, like, slow... It is worth it to slow down. Sonic racing, and we're gonna feet off the ground. This being an anniversary game, obviously, almost all of the good song tracks throughout the series are in this game in one form or another, either as a collectible that you can get through doing little bonus missions like this, or collecting all the red rings, for example. Oh god. Well, hey, at least it's as buggy as the original Genesis 2D games were. Once again, the LP curse. I don't know why this stuff only happens when you actually sit down and start recording, and yet it never happens when you're just playing it casually. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but there's just a weird kind of bounce when you jump You don't get anything extra for getting a good rank, by the way, so it's so not worth trying to get a good rank. You do not get anything extra for S ranking these missions. So don't even bother. As long as you do the mission, then you're done. You never have to do it again. But once you do the challenge missions that have friends associated with them, you get some extra dialogue. Yeah, that is where you started falling behind, wasn't it? So each friend, each one of the Sonic cast, all of Sonic's woodland friends, has 2 challenge missions associated with them, and they have different dialogue for each one. It's pretty fun. It's kind of sad that they aren't voiced. Here they go getting all of these new voice actors, and none of them have anything to do, really, which is kind of a bummer. And makes a certain decision they make later on in the game make a little bit more sense. Also, what I think is funny is they don't even bother to introduce Classic Tails. He's just here now. Here's Classic Tails. That's Adore. He looks cute. Look at how cute Classic Tails looks. He doesn't really get anything introducing him. He's just here now.
Sonic!
But being Classic Tails, Tails at the point in the timeline where he was idealizing Sonic and looking up to him as a role model and trying to emulate him back when he didn't believe in himself, obviously there would be a challenge mission where Tails follows us around and helps us out to navigate through the level as Classic Sonic.
Leave the flying to me!
Oh no!
Why button's cold?
He's a little Tails! He's just the cutest! Yeah! He's the best! There's with Tails and we're flying around!
Look at that. Although his tail's spinning super slowly looks really weird. Hey, look, it's that thing you actually couldn't ever really do in the Genesis games unless you had 2 controllers to work with. Unless you had 2 controllers and someone else to do it with you, you would never actually be able to really do this. And I like how he's just vanishing and disappearing, and appearing and vanishing whenever we summon him and then dismiss him. I have no further need of you. Oh wait, yes I do. Now I have no further need of you. Poof, goodbye. Don't exist anymore.
You telling me I'm Tails? I'm so cute. Look at how little I am.
What I think is funny is Classic Tails here. Yeah, remember these? Remember these speed ring holes from Sonic Adventure? That's great that they're in here. I think what's great is Classic Tails is the same small size that he was in the Genesis era, but Modern Tails is shorter than Modern Sonic, but Modern Tails is the same height as Classic Sonic. That's fucking adorable and hilarious to me. I can't really line them up, we just had that one cutscene to go off of. But when Classic Sonic ran by catching up with Modern Sonic, we actually did see him standing next to Modern Tails, and they were the same height, which I think is just the cutest shit ever. Nope. And, just like Knuckles, we got a little extra dialogue for having done a challenge mission with Tails.
It was really fun going on an adventure with you. We should do it again sometime. Oh no! Oh no! This is why I thought in Sonic Mania I mentioned how I like Sonic Mania is a sequel to Generations. I feel that more than ever so strongly now, as I will try to explain why as we go through this. But in Sonic Mania, I mentioned how I thought that Generations for Classic Sonic took place after Sonic 2, but before Sonic 3. And then I realized in retrospect, no, that can't be true. I'm pretty sure Generations, from Classic Sonic's perspective, takes place after Sonic 3. I'm still actually not 100% sure, because Tails going, hey, that was fun going on an adventure with you, we should do it again sometime, implies that this game, from Classic Sonic's perspective, takes place after Sonic 2. and before Sonic 3. Because Sonic 3 was the second adventure that they went on together. Whereas that dialogue implies it's taking place after Sonic 2, which was the first adventure they went on together. So I'm not sure. So, like, basically, it's clear that this takes place after Sonic 2 at minimum. So after Sonic 2, Sonic was running around Green Hill Zone, because I'm pretty sure that's just where he lives. Gets sucked into the time portal, and now he's here. And so he's like, oh man, I was running around with Tails, and I just blew up the Death Egg, and now I'm in this weird white void. What's going on? That's what he's thinking from his perspective. But is he seeing this and going, I don't know what that is, or, oh yeah, this shit again? But there's no classic Knuckles. That's one of the things that's kind of a flaw. Not a flaw, but it is, I think you can point to that as proof of one of the flaws of this game, which is, it feels pretty unfinished to me. As I play through this game, one of the things that sticks out to me about it is it feels like like it was rushed out the door a little bit. Like, it's not like it's polished. It's not like in terms of gameplay, but I mean, like, it's hard to describe. It's like there's a difference between like Western rushed games and Japanese rushed games. Because in Japan, they just make the entire game first, and then they do, like, all the story and all that associated with it. So I'm pretty sure they decided, okay, all of these levels are going to be in the game, and then made the game, and designed it, and designed all the levels and how it plays, and taking everything that Sonic Colors did and expanding on it and improving on it and adding all the stuff that they had to take out from Sonic Unleashed to make Sonic Colors work on the Wii, and putting that back in and improving on that, and making the game just a brilliant, fantastic thing to play, and inventing the new gameplay of classic Sonic, as you do. And then, after all that's done, they go, okay, now what's the story? Oh god, this is the worst. I hate running on these stupid things. Literally cannot stand running on those things. I'm just gonna ignore them as much as possible. Those things are awful. Whee! So, like, one of the things is, only Tails gets a classic version. You see classic Sonic and classic Tails. You do not get a classic Amy. You do not get a classic Knuckles. That's a bit of a shame. I feel like that's the result of the game being somewhat rushed out the door. Because this game was an anniversary game. It was a celebration of Sonic's 20... It was a birthday game. Like, hooray, Sonic's 20th birthday, new game, celebrating all of the old games. Right? So, they could not have been making this for, like, years, you know? Like, when they were making Sonic Unleashed, they let them take as long as they wanted on that one. When they were making Sonic Colors, I'm not sure what the time they had to work with was, but it was a reasonable amount of time. And then Sonic Generations, and it's like, oh shit, get that out the door, come on. We gotta hit the 20th anniversary. We gotta hit the 20th birthday. Get that out in time for the birthday, right? So comparatively, like, there was so much more left on the cutting room floor with this game compared to Unleashed and Colors. There is different dialogue for if you did Act 1 second, because if you did Act 1 second, they would unfreeze and see Classic Sonic, so they would have different dialogue for seeing Classic Sonic instead of Modern Sonic. So I do feel like at some point they might have gone, okay, let's have Classic Amy and Classic Knuckles, but they only had time to do classic Tails, and they didn't have time to do classic Amy in her Sonic CD outfit with the green shirt, yellow skirt, and Sonic-style spines. They didn't have time to do classic Knuckles, which would pretty much just be the same thing except with Mickey Mouse-style eyes. That's one of the funniest things to me is they went from having, like, Mickey Mouse-style proportions and eyes. That's why Sonic has gloves, by the way, because he was inspired by classic Disney cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse. Not just Disney, but, like, classic characters of that nature, like Mickey Mouse. Thus the gloves, thus the doll eyes. And then somehow they grew irises, which is pretty funny to me.
I'll handle the treasure hunting. Press
So here's
the Y button when you need me.
Here's our callback to the Knuckles levels in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, which I kind of miss. It would be nice if they brought these back at some point, but this being a celebration of all of the classic Sonic games, including the 3D Sonic games, we have to have a little tribute to the Knuckles treasure hunting style gameplay from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So they have these little challenge stages where Knuckles does his little dig claws into the ground to find little coins for you, which is great. I also like to think, and this is probably just me, there's probably no basis for it, I like to think that after this game, Knuckles, like the Sky Sanctuary comes back, so to speak. So while Knuckles is chilling out on Angel Island, he's got his Sanctuary back, because that dialogue is just too cute for me. It's nice to have my Sanctuary back. Aw, Knuckles. Although it's funny that Knuckles' big claim to fame is the treasure hunting minigame here, when again I feel like something that should define Knuckles a little bit more is combat. I feel like it would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Was getting greedy there. Honestly, that seems pretty excusable to me. Clearly not something I should have done. Whoop. So that, Knuckles, what defines Knuckles? His knuckles. He's a punch boy. So I feel like it would make a lot of sense to have Platinum do a character action game where we're playing as Knuckles, punching dudes. Just saying. I'm just saying what we're all thinking, right? Anyway. But yeah, this is like the staple gameplay that he had back in Adventure 1 and 2, so it makes sense to have a minigame based on that here. Go ahead and grab this. They wouldn't have had a classic They wouldn't have had a classic version to go with every character, of course. Just the classic characters, like the big four. Amy, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. I feel like it would have made a lot of sense to give the four of them classic modes, but as it stands with the game we ended up getting, of course, only Sonic and Tails have classic versions. And again, I feel like that's a result of a little bit of a rushed development to me. Like, again, it's weird saying it feels rushed, because in terms of gameplay, it is polished to a mirror sheet. Like, when you say rushed, usually that's in the context of the gameplay being lackluster. Like, they couldn't implement a feature or a mechanic that they were working on and had to get it out the door before they could finish implementing it. That kind of thing. That's what you expect when you say a game feels rushed. But it's the complete opposite. Probably because the gameplay was developed by Sonic Team over in Japan. Again, the actual, developers, as in, the game mechanic designers, the guys who
who go, okay, when you press the A button, this is what happens, and did all the level design and all that stuff. They're over in Japan, like Sega Team Japan. Those are the guys doing the gameplay, what we're doing right now. What is with these railings? Goddamn, Knuckles, these are some badass railings right here. They go all the way up. We got plenty of fucking medals, so we're done here. Boom. But the writers and the project leads like Azuka are here in America. So everything that they do, has to be done after the fact. Like it's a little complicated. Like it's not 100% cut and dry. So trying to explain it in simplified terms doesn't go super well. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to dumb it down, but like the process is a little more complicated than my description would lead it to believe.
Yeah.
Again, I do not know where the treasure hunter thing comes from. For goodness sake, Knuckles. How are you a treasure hunter? You stay in one location guarding one treasure. If anything, you're an anti-treasure hunter. Treasure hunters show up to your house and you tell them to fuck off. That's your thing, Knuckles. I don't know where you being a treasure hunter came from.